What going on, Swiper Gang? Welcome back to another episode. We are officially at the start of the 2021 NFL season, and I can't wait until the party actually gets started. I don't know about you, but this is my favorite time of the year. Fall comes around, you got NFL football, you got NBA basketball getting ready to start, you got college football going on, high school basketball, high school football. This is about to be a really busy season for all of us, and guess what? You got content coming to you every single week about NFL content. You can expect a video right after each Denver Bronco game. You can expect another football video during the week to talk about the matchups, to talk about what we're looking at going forward, to talk about the NFL at large, y'all. We're going to have a party. Look, Swiper Gang, I hope you settled in. I hope you're ready because we about to have an amazing year. We're going to get to that 10K, Serbia 10K. Let's go. So, I don't know about y'all, but I watched the Denver Broncos take on the Minnesota Vikings, and they won the first preseason matchup of the year, 33-6. Now, here's the thing. All offseason, what's been the question? What are the Denver Broncos going to do at the quarterback position? All offseason, we've been wondering, we've been hoping against hope. At first, before the allegations came out, we were hearing that Deshaun Watson was interested in coming to the Denver Broncos. And then we heard through the grapevine that the Hall of Famer, top 10 quarterback himself, Aaron Rodgers, wants to join the Denver Broncos. All the while, Denver Broncos fans are hearing about a potential quarterback matchup between Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock, the incumbent starter. And here we are. We didn't get Deshaun Watson. Here we are. We didn't get Aaron Rodgers this season because he decided to stay for one last dance. And now, all offseason and training camp has been about who's going to win the quarterback job. Is it going to be Drew Lock? Is it going to be Teddy Bridgewater? Now, if you don't, I suggest that you follow DNVR. You want to hear what they're talking about. You want to hear Zach Stevens and Mace. You want to hear what Rye has to say about what's going on. They were at camp every day. They're reporting on the quarterback battle. They're reporting on the right tackle battle. But this is where it stands. All offseason, I've been saying that I want Drew Lock to take that next step to become a franchise quarterback. It's in the best interest of the Denver Broncos. It's in the best interest for the city of Denver. It's in the best interest for the state of Colorado. If you're from Colorado or if you're familiar with Denver Broncos football, you know all about John Elway. You know all about Peyton Manning. That's the expectation. That's the standard. The Denver Broncos have been to 8 Super Bowls. They're one of only, I want to say, 6 to 8 teams that's ever been to 8 Super Bowls. They've won 3 Super Bowls. The Denver Broncos are a top 8 franchise in NFL history. Well, obviously, the beloved Pat Bowlen, rest his soul. You know, we have a great legacy of quarterbacks and standards of excellence, and it just hasn't been upheld. For the last 5 seasons, it's been a losing season. So here we are in this training camp. You know, we've been suffering through a lot of quarterback battles, y'all. Remember 2016, you had Mark Sanchez. You had, the pick that year, which was Lynch, and we thought that Paxton Lynch was going to be something. We got Trevor Siemian coming from Northwestern. 7th round pick. So we were hoping and waiting. Then after that, we got all the way up to Case Keenum. After that, we got all the way up to Joe Flacco. And then Drew Lock showed a lot of promise during his rookie year, went 4-1 in the last 5 games. Like 7-2 touchdown to interception ratio. Last year was not a good year. 16 touchdowns to 15 interceptions, tied for first in the league. The most incomplete pass balls, percentage-wise, of any quarterback in the NFL. So here we are. You know, we're wanting to see what Drew Lock has done. All training camp, we've been hearing that Drew Lock has been taking steady steps towards being a more consistent and reliable passer. Not always going towards the big shot, but here, trying to hit the right receiver, trying to take the check down, trying not to rely too much on his arm. But y'all, again, I want to clarify, I know it was against second teamers. I know that the Vikings didn't have a lot of starters in the game. I know because they have some folks that are not vaccinated, that they're still out on protocol. I get it. But for Drew Lock, in the first preseason game to go 5 of 7 for 151 yards for 2 touchdowns and to have 153.3 rating on the day, which again, the highest you can get in the NFL is 158.3. For Drew Lock to play that well is very hopeful. Here's the thing. I think that having Teddy Bridgewater around has helped Drew Lock immensely. I think it's helped Drew Lock immensely. Because Drew's had to see and watch that not only is your spot not guaranteed, but if you want to be a franchise quarterback, you're going to have to build in parts of Teddy Bridgewater's game into the system. Now, Teddy Bridgewater, I heard on NFL Network, last year he had the highest percentage of passes that were available to be caught at 83%, meaning that when he threw the ball, 83% of his passes were eligible to be caught by the receiver. That led the NFL. That means he's throwing intermediate and short routes that are very accurate, the most accurate of anyone in the NFL. So if that's the case, Drew can't have a completion percentage that's in the 50s again. He has to get it up around the high 60s to the low 70s. That's what you expect from great quarterbacks. And so Drew Lock, man, for him to start off the first preseason game, has 151 yards. Y'all, so here's two big plays. If you remember the game, there's two big plays. He had that 80-yard bomb to KJ Hamler. And once again, man, I expect great things from KJ Hamler. I expect KJ Hamler to pop off this season. I expect that he's going to have some opportunities to really get some yak on screens, bubbles, slant routes, fly routes, go routes, post patterns on man-to-man that he is so deadly at with that 4.27 speed. KJ Hamler was wide open, and Drew Lock threw a ball that was a 60 yards in the air throw. I think it was 65 yards in the air total that Drew Lock threw that ball. And again, it wasn't like he just threw it up and it was a dime. It was more on a rope, meaning he shot it out there. And right in step, KJ Hamler for an 80-yard touchdown. Great play. My favorite play from Drew Lock, though, was they were in, I think, a 3rd and 10 situation. And they had a crossing route pattern, and they had some sit down. So what happened was they had two crossing routes. And so if you're playing zone defense as a defender, oftentimes we are told not to bite on the cheese. So I played linebacker in college, tried out for linebacker in the NFL. So one of the things that we are taught early on is not biting on the cheese, meaning don't bite on what's in front of you. If you see the running back check down, don't bite on it. That means something coming behind you. If you see a crosser cross your face, don't bite on it. Don't bite on the cheese because that means something's coming behind you. But what happened was the crossing routes were so good, and because Drew Lock had so much time, because the fact of the matter is, even though he didn't have a starting line, Calvin Anderson held up really well. Netani Moody held up really well. The offensive line played decent when Drew was in the game. And what happened was Jerry Jeudy had an option route. He could have kept going, or he could sit down at the sticks and just turn and open up in the zone. And Drew Lock stayed in that pocket for about 4 seconds, and he delivered a strike to Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy then took that 24 yards after the catch and got all the way downfield. Now, Jerry Jeudy had an opportunity. He could have caught another touchdown ball that Drew Lock had just overthrown him. But I'm telling y'all right now, if you watch fantasy football, if you are into fantasy football, again, I realize that everything in fantasy is so shaky. Everything with the Denver Broncos team, that's going to have to be left up to how the quarterbacks play. But if I was you, I would take a 7th to 9th round flyer on Jerry Jeudy because he might end up being the Stephon Diggs of this year's fantasy football. Stephon Diggs drafted in the 7th round last year, ended up at wide receiver 1. I'm not saying Jerry could end up at wide receiver 1, but he has a chance to be top 10. Jerry Jeudy has all the skills. He was the best wide receiver when he was at Alabama. That includes Jalen Waddle. That includes at the time Devontae Smith. That includes Henry Ruggs. Jerry Jeudy has the route running capabilities of people. Some of the people that can match him in terms of his route running ability would only be people like, you're talking about Stephon Diggs, you're talking about your Keenan Allen, you're talking about your Devontae Adams. But outside of that, your Terry Lawrence and your Amari Coopers, there are a certain class of receivers that fit that category, and he is one of them, bar none. All camp we've been hearing about how he is just getting off on everybody. Can't nobody hold him. And so it was the same thing. Dantley tried to cover him, couldn't cover him. So Drew Lock is going to have a great opportunity with Jerry Jeudy. They really need to establish some repertoire, some rapport with each other. That way they'll continue to make sure that they're filling out the lanes correctly. They're sitting down where they need to sit down. They're reading off each other. They're reading the keys well. So I really expect a lot of really good things that come out of that relationship this year. Another person who had a great day on offense, so Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater had a day too, but we'll get to him in a minute. But really, Javonte Williams. Now, I don't know if you watched Javonte Williams, man. But Javonte Williams had 5 carries for 29 yards, which is 5.8 yards a carry. But he ripped off 2 10-yard carries to start the game, and that set up the play action for Drew Lock's first pass to KJ Hamler. Drew Lock with Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, or if it's Teddy Bridgewater, they're going to have one of the most dynamic 1-2 punches in the NFL. I'm not going to lie to you. It may be the 33. It could be the fact that he has the turf sleeve, the turf pads on. It's like this little white thing you see on his elbow to protect you from the turf that you see Alvin Kamara wearing, that you see Dalvin Cook wearing. It could be that, man, but Javonte Williams reminds me of a slower, not as peak fast, but a slower version of Dalvin Cook. The way he reads the hole in a one-cut system, in a zone running scheme where he has to find the lane and just that foot into the ground and it's up immediately, I mean, Javonte is going to have a great opportunity to really show out. And again, y'all, Melvin Gordon was great last year. He ran for essentially 986 yards. He was 10th among all running backs last year, averaged like 4.6 yards a carry. He did have 4 fumbles. But Melvin Gordon played well. And so you pair him with Javonte Williams, with how good he already looks, that offense has a real opportunity to be special, man. So Drew Lock, again, 5 of 7, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns. Then you had Javonte Williams at 5 for 29. Then you had Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy had a decent day today. He had 1 catch for 33 yards. Then on top of that, KJ Hamler, man. KJ Hamler he had a rush as well. KJ Hamler had 2 receptions for 105 yards. So weapons everywhere. And the fact is that Albert Okwuegbunam did not play this time. Didn't even play. Here's the thing. So right now there's a major battle going on with the Denver Broncos at the receiving position because you have Jerry Jeudy, you got Cortland Sutton, who did not play in the first preseason game, KJ Hamler, obviously, then you got Tim Patrick. That's the big 4. Tim Patrick did not drop a ball last year. He was amazing all last season, led the Broncos with 6 touchdowns, I believe, at the receiving position. But here's the thing. That 5th spot is up for grabs. Now, typically that's been Deontay Spencer because he's also your kick returner as well. They also drafted Tyree Cleveland, and then they drafted Seth Williams from Auburn this year. But right now, it looks like Trinity Benson might be taking that spot. Now, if you are not familiar with Trinity Benson, then you need to. Go watch some of his highlights in college. He was good. But Trinity Benson had 4 catches for 36 yards and not 1 but 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns. Trinity Benson looks like a problem, man. And for him to be in that 5th position, we'll have to see how that works out. Maybe what that means is that they keep Deontay Spencer as the kick returner, so they carry 6 wide receivers going into the opening day roster, which are active 53/48. Or maybe they decide KJ Hamler should take over those responsibilities, which he can. Y'all, so this team is bursting with talent. This is the biggest thing I have with those that support Drew Lock. Myself, as somebody who last year said he could have been a dark horse MVP candidate to start the season, Drew Lock needs to show consistency. So this time he got to start. Great game today. Made really, really good decisions today. But we need to see that next week versus the Seattle Seahawks, even though he's going to be second team. So Teddy Bridgewater came in today, not to be outdone. 7 of 8 for 74 yards and 10.6 yards average, with 1 touchdown and 144.8 passer rating. So he wasn't that far off from Drew Lock. And on top of that, 7 of 8. And again, what we've been hearing about Teddy Bridgewater all training camp is what he's been doing all training camp. That he's been hitting receivers on the money, that he's been getting the ball where it needs to go, especially him and Jerry Jeudy. Because you got to remember, Teddy Bridgewater is not going to throw the ball that deep. He's not going to give you the 65 yards in the air, but he's going to give you great intermediate and short passing. He's going to get the ball out, 1, 2, 3, out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, out. 1, 2, out. He just knows how to do it. His technique is very sound, and he's very efficient where he throws the ball. He doesn't take a lot of chances, which is good and bad. Great because you don't turn the ball over a lot, but also because you're not going to take some advantage of some of those big play athletes you have outside. And then on top of that, man, Teddy has an opportunity to bring a real veteran presence. He's 29, former Pro Bowler. Obviously, he was beloved in Minnesota before that horrific knee injury took him out. But Teddy Bridgewater played very well for New Orleans as well. But here's my thing, y'all. This is my stance on the quarterback situation with Denver. It's better long term and for the Denver Broncos franchise for Drew Lock to take the job. Because that way you have a franchise quarterback on your roster who has this year and next year at a rookie contract. Let him grow and develop. He takes that Josh Allen year 3 step where he becomes a bona fide franchise quarterback, meaning a top 12 quarterback this year, which he has all the weapons and the coaching scheme to do so. He takes that top 12 step. He gets them where they need to go. They compete for a playoff spot. They end the year 11-6, 12-5. At worst, 10-7. You end the year with that kind of a record. You start off with the New York Giants and the Jets, and you really get an opportunity to strut your stuff. Yeah, they start off with the Giants, Jacksonville, and the Jets. See if you can start off 3-0. You know what I mean? Get yourself some momentum going into the season. I want to see Drew Lock win this job because Drew Lock has the talent and skill set to be a premier passer. He just has to be ready up here. Now, here's the thing. I get that he didn't have a full offseason, but the fact of the matter is neither did Justin Herbert. Neither did a lot of quarterbacks. Joe Burrow didn't have a full offseason. He threw for, 15 touchdowns and 6 picks last year before he went down with a horrific knee injury. So I get that the circumstances weren't great, but Drew Lock is going to have to man up. As we would say on the football field, he has to nut up and get it done. Now, I hope that he can. Again, Andrew Mason is really good about pointing this out, that historically, quarterbacks do not take that leap after their second season into their third year. They typically don't. It typically happens from 1 to 2. But Drew Lock can do it. Drew Lock can do it because other quarterbacks have done it, but he has the ability to do it. He's smart. He's capable. Pat Shurmur, man, they ran so many play actions. I think he was 5 of 5 on play actions or something like that. So Drew Lock, the only quarterback last year that was better than him on play action in the NFL was Aaron freaking Rodgers. They need to be top 10 in play action attempts this year. I think last year they were like 25. They need to be top 10. Let Drew cook. Set him up for success, Pat Shurmur. Give him the opportunity. If that's what he's good at, let him go be good at it. Especially if you got Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, Levante Bellamy and Royce Freeman and Mike Boone running the ball. Especially if you got an all-pro caliber left tackle and Garrett Bowles. You got Netani Moody perhaps starting, or you got Dalton Ryder starting at the left guard. You got Lloyd Cushenberry III starting at center. You got either Graham Glasgow or you got Netani Moody starting at that right guard. And then you have Bobby Massey, who's been playing really well in training camp, man. He's your number one by far. Calvin Anderson coming down as the swing tackle. Man, you got numbers, man. Run the ball. But run the ball, play action. Let Jerry Jeudy hit those over-the-top routes in 12 to 15. Let Cortland Sutton run the dig routes. Let Cortland Sutton take off for a fly. Let KJ Hamler go for his post routes. Use them. You got a tight end that runs a 4.50, Noah Fant. One of the best athletic tight ends in the league. Top 10, in my opinion. And then you also got Albert Okwebunam, who ran a 4.49 at 6'5", 255 pounds. Use them. Play action. Boot. Roll. That's the thing. Just use your strengths. So what if he can't process everything the way that a 10-year vet can? But you know what? Let him get better, but maximize what he does have around him. There's no reason they should not be top 10 in play action this year. Give Drew Lock the opportunity to get it done, even if that means modifying the offense, Pat Shurmur. George Paton has set him up for success. John Elway has set him up for success. Use the weapons that are built around him in the right way. I want to see play action heavy this season. I want to see Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon both scratching 800 yards this season. Let's get it there, because that's going to help Drew. Because here's the thing. We ain't even talked about the defense yet. We haven't even talked about the defense yet. I want Drew Lock to win this job. If Teddy wins it, you know what? Maybe he can go out and do it. But like I said, we know what Teddy is. Teddy is a lower tier, bottom 10 quarterback who's going to give you 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and that's going to call it a day. 3,700 yards. He's going to get the ball where it needs to go. But I will say, last year, I know this is fantasy, but last year, Matthew Berry talked about this as well. Last year, Teddy Bridgewater is the starting quarterback, supported an offense in the Carolina Panthers with 3 top 25 receivers. 3 of them. So Teddy can get it done too. So both of them can get it done. But we just need to see Drew Lock have another follow-up performance like this, and then have another follow-up performance if he plays in that third and final preseason game. And get ready for the Giants. Get ready for the Jaguars. Get ready for the Jets. Dominate those teams. Get comfortable. Get used to it, because you got a great opportunity. James Bradbury, Adoree Jackson. You got a great opportunity, Drew Lock. So I believe in him. I believe he can get it done. Obviously, like most Broncos fans that have been watching football for years or playing, I like Justin Fields. I love his game, but that's not the situation right now. So Drew Lock can get it done. So let's get it done. All right, defense, man. So the defense was without Bradley Chubb. Von Miller didn't play. Shelby Harris didn't play. A bunch of folks was out. A bunch of folks. Justin Simmons, Kareem Jackson, Ronald Darby didn't play. Kyle Fuller didn't play. But Patrick Surtain II did play. Y'all, I don't know if you a Fox Sports Bet, DraftKings Sportsbook, whatever you do, you might want to slide a couple dollars on that Patrick Surtain II Rookie Defensive Player of the Year odds. You might want to put some money on that because that first ball that they threw at Patrick Surtain at PS2, money house call. Let's go. We'll take it. We'll holler. He has the makings of an all-pro corner. He has the physical gifts of Jalen Ramsey in speed and toughness and height. He also has the schematic perfection, the ability to get there schematically and technically like Darrelle Revis. He is the perfect NFL corner at 6'2", 215 pounds or so, 210 pounds. Real fluid hips, great eyes. Man, y'all, again, fantasy football players, think about taking a flyer on the Denver Broncos defense. Again, in Denver, when you're playing fantasy football, you're thinking, all right, pass rush for sacks, DBs for coverage and turnovers. Right now, the Broncos have Bradley Chubb, Von Miller, Shelby Harris, and Draymond Jones. All of them are capable of getting 7+ sacks a year. Then you got Malik Reed coming off the bench with 8 sacks last year. And then you got Jeudy, Alexander Johnson, and Justin Trinidad, one of the most solid inside linebacker cores in the NFL. And then you have the best secondary, in my opinion, in the NFL. You got Justin Simmons, All-Pro, Pro Bowl, best safety, highest paid safety in the league. Kareem Jackson, top 4 PFF safety. You got Ronald Darby, Kyle Fuller, Bryce Callahan, and also PS2. And Michael Ojemudia. That has the makings. With Isang Bassi. That has the makings of the best defense in football if they stay healthy. That defense is going to be special. Again, I know it's preseason. They gave up 6 points. We haven't seen that from the defenses in the past. They've adjusted to Vic Fangio's scheme, very zone heavy, Tampa 2, cover 2 heavy. They've adjusted to it very well, and I expect them to hit some really, really great strides. Really, really great strides as time goes on. Look, man, the Broncos are on the verge. They're on the cusp of moving into having a winning ball club and being a winning team. But they just need consistent and sustainable good quarterback play because that is the morale of the football team. If you have a quarterback you know that can get the job done, you feel better about the game. You feel better about your chances. You feel better about the outlook. You feel better like you know that you got somebody that got your back. But when you don't have that, it changes everything. So let's hope that Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater continue to take that step. Let's hope that Drew Lock can continue to learn from Teddy Bridgewater to be a more accurate and precise thrower of the football while maximizing the tremendous skill set that he has. Let's hope that we get a repeat performance from both quarterbacks next week. Both of them playing well. The defense playing well. Offensive players playing well. We might get a Cortland Sutton appearance. If Melvin Gordon, if he's feeling okay, you might get a Melvin Gordon appearance. Might get a Garrett Bowles appearance. Y'all, there's a real opportunity for these Denver Broncos, man. So we're going to have a lot more to talk about in the year, but if I had to rate the team during the first preseason game, I'm going to give them an A. They deserve an A. All-around performance. There were some things they could have cleaned up. Like I said, that deep ball drew Mr. Jerry Jeudy. There's some opportunities they had that they could have got back. But the fact of the matter is for your first game since last year, to put new personnel together, to be without so many starters because it's the first preseason game, it went really well. And you can't really expect too much more, man. So let's hope, Denver Broncos fans, NFL fan, I'm so excited for this season. I'm so excited to see Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady go at it. I'm so excited to see Lamar Jackson and J.K. Dobbins and Rashad Bateman when he gets healthy and Mark Andrews and see what they can do. I'm excited to see what Trevor Lawrence can do with Travis Etienne and James Robinson coming off the bench and DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault and Marvin Jones. Like, I'm so excited to see what these teams can do, man. The 49ers with Trey Lance. I mean, what amazing talent he is. And then, on top of that, you're going to have Trey Sermon and Raheem Mostert running the ball. Brandon Ayuk, one of my favorite receivers, catching the ball. Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. Like, I'm excited to see what they look like. I'm excited to see what the NFC West looks like with the new Matt Stafford. Darrell Henderson, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee. See what they do together, how they're going to maximize. You know what I mean? Like Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, Williams on the outside, Darius Williams on the outside, John Johnson, safety. What are they going to do? How are they going to pan out? Is Stafford going to throw for 5,000-plus yards? That means we're going to have a year from Cooper Kupp and both Robert Woods are 1,200-plus yards, 8-plus touchdowns. I mean, let's see what we do. You know what I mean? Who else am I excited for? Saquon Barkley's back healthy. You get Saquon Barkley healthy with Kenny Golladay and Darius Slayton, and on top of that with Shepard as well. And then you got Evan Ingram as well, and Kyle Rudolph is there as well. Man, let's see what they do. Let's see if Saquon can stay healthy this year. Let's see if Dalvin Cook. Let's see if Derrick Henry can get 2,000 more yards this year. Love to see it. Love Derrick Henry. Love his game. What's going to happen with the Houston Texans? What happened with Deshaun Watson? Does he stay? Did he get traded to the Eagles? Did he get traded to somebody else? Miami. Does Tua take a next step? What does Jalen Waddle look like? How is he going to look as a rookie receiver? Michael Pittman, does he step up to be the number one receiver for the Indianapolis Colts? There's so many questions, but this is why I love football. This is why I love football. Every team has their own storyline. Every team has their own hopes. Every team has their own challenges. Tom Brady at age 44, can he do something no 44-year-old quarterback has ever done before? Can Josh Allen continue to take another step as an MVP candidate? Can he get the 50 touchdowns? Can he do a repeat performance with Stephon Diggs? Did Zach Moss or Devin Singletary, do they take over the running back position or the running back committee all year? Does Leonard Fournette take off? Ronald Jones, does he take off? I mean, the Oakland Raiders, are they still a mess? More than likely, they're still a mess. What do? Justin Herbert and the Chargers, do they take a step? What happens with them? The Steelers, what are they going to do with Najee Harris? Big Ben is old, but they got Deontay Johnson and Juju Smith-Schuster and also Chase Claypool. They got Eric Ebron still. Their defense is loaded. Melvin Ingram is signed there. He might be backing up Hightower, outside linebacker. Then you got T.J. Watt and such as well. Devin Bush in the middle. So what do? This is the fun part. We've been waiting all year to get back to this point, NFL fans. So this is where we're going. This will be one of the central locations for NFL content throughout the year. We're going to talk about the Denver Broncos, but we're going to talk about everybody all season. So remember, Sundays you will have a video right after the game during the regular season. And then you will also have another video on NFL content coming out in the week where we'll recap the entire NFL. We'll do a recap of where the next matchup is for the Denver Broncos and what you can look for, what you can expect. Let's grow this channel. Make this the premier sports channel on YouTube, y'all. Swipe it, gang. We got more to come. As you can see, we got some merchandise now with the logo. Let me know in the comment section if you would like to purchase one of these. We're going to start putting shirts out and about. We're going to start selling some gear, start getting stuff out there so we can support the channel, so we can buy a real nice camera. Let's buy a real nice setup. Let's get a whole streaming thing set up. Let's make this something. This is y'all's. Take ownership of this swiping game because this is you. Y'all, I'm so excited for this year. I'm so excited to come back to making videos. I appreciate the patience. We finna do something big this year. Let's go, Swipe Gang. We out.